Coming up next on PWR Feedback Friday, 2 TNA stars leave the company after over a decade of service. Are pay issues to blame? More of your comments about Dean Ambrose and much more as we respond to your feedback on last week's episodes right now on Feedback Friday for March 25th, 2016.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Feedback Friday. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero. How are you, David?
It's Fish Fry Friday, and I'm fantastic.
What kind of fish do you fry?
I prefer cod or haddock.
Fish don't fry in the kitchen. Beans don't burn on the grill. It took a whole lot of trying to get up this hill.
What kind of beans do you put on a grill?
Baked.
They would fall through.
No, you put them in a pan. You put a pan on the grill. You cook on the grill.
I don't make beans on a grill.
Okay, so cod or
haddock.
You don't do catfish?
No, too bony.
Folks, this is Feedback Friday, which of course is brought to you by the Shenanigans VIP party, where 1 week from today, David Hero, Shenanigans will invade Dallas. It's the biggest party of WrestleMania weekend, and I, for one, am looking forward to being outdrank by one Mean Gene Okerlund.
You know what's amazing is we didn't think, last year's party was ridiculous.
In San Jose, it was redonkulous, actually.
I mean, we had Uber cars coming and going. We had shenanigans. We had a hidden party in the basement.
There was another party going on.
Okay, I mean, there's so many super friends and Nelson familyites showing up and talents everywhere. This year is gonna surpass last year.
Is it? You guaranteeing that?
Yes. And, because we're still getting requests from talent saying, hey, we want to come.
Well, folks, all the details of that right now, PWRshow.com. It's the Shenanigans VIP party next Friday night, downtown Dallas. 5 minutes from Ring of Honor, WrestleCon, NXT, in the heart of the city. We've rented out an entire building for this party.
You want to try to outdrink Mean Gene Okerlund?
I want to. No, I said I will be outdranked by Mean Gene Okerlund. I am not competing with him again.
You're not going to do the final?
I will do a final.
The Kettle One double? Straight up, no rocks.
It's called the Holy Balls. There's special drinks available.
Because that's what happens afterwards.
Folks, let's get to this week's top story here on Feedback Friday. And late last week, TNA announced the departure of both Bobby Roode and Eric Young from the company. Both had been with TNA since around its inception, some 13, 14 years each. It would later be learned that both Roode and Young requested their releases from TNA, and those releases were subsequently granted. Bobby Roode said later that he felt he had done everything he could in TNA and that the product had gotten stale for the last little while.
That's not true.
And the growth wasn't there in an interview he did with his hometown newspaper. What's not true?
He did. There's nothing left for him to do.
He's former world champion.
There was nothing left for him to do in TNA except get paid.
Well, that wasn't. Let me continue here. Eric Young would say on the Busted Open radio show that, and I quote, "Things don't end because they were good. Things weren't what they were supposed to be." PWInsider.com is reporting that both talents requested a pay increase, which was denied by the company, which contributed to them asking for their release. Now, additionally, it should be noted, because there are public reports out there, that TNA is having some challenges in making payroll.
Big challenges.
And these two were impacted by those challenges.
I mean, there's been some of the talents that haven't been paid since January. Now, here we are, end of March.
So, let's go back to that later, but let's first talk about the departures of both Roode and Young from TNA. This is a big deal for the company.
It's a huge blow to the talent roster of TNA, because you have two top guys, two guys that you can have them work babyface, have them work heel, they can work the opener, they can work mid-card, they can do the main event. It's great for NXT, because you got to figure that's where they're both going.
Bobby Roode for sure. Bobby Roode has been lauded as one of the best talents in the wrestling business for years.
Because, you know what, let's be honest. Both guys have good relationships with the guys that are in NXT already. The Samoa Joes,
the Austin Aries,
the Finn Balors, all those guys, they're pals. AJ Styles is there now.
Well, here's the other thing. AJ Styles in WWE. Here's the other thing, though. At least in NXT, while it may be less, they would get paid on time.
Exactly. They may get paid less than what they were getting in TNA, but at least they know that. Let me be honest.
I'd love it when you're honest.
TNA did 300,000 viewers last week.
This past Tuesday, actually, it was about 390,000
okay.
total.
Say 400. Say
Okay.
450.
Sure.
You can even go as high as 500,000.
Well, you just gave another 100,000 to viewers.
How many subscribers are there for the network?
Just over 1 million, 1.2 or 3 million.
Okay, so let's say half of them watch NXT. They're already ahead of TNA.
That they are.
So they get a bigger audience. Become bigger stars. International stars. I'm sure Pop TV isn't in Israel.
Now, here's my question, David Hero. And I think you're dead on. You're absolutely right about both Rude and Young, and they would be great additions to the NXT talent roster, if not even on the WWE main roster for a Bobby Roode specifically. But you've got TNA.
I'll be honest. I think Eric Young is just as good as Bobby Roode.
I don't dispute that.
I mean,
but he's not been as well talked about within WWE as Bobby Roode has.
I can see EY join the Wyatts.
Oh my! Didn't he shave the beard? I think he shaved the beard.
He could be the guy, he could be the workhorse for the group. You have all these giants. You need that little. I don't want to say little, but the one guy that'll get in there and do all the moves.
Size again.
Well, size matters. It does. I don't care what anybody says.
TNA, if they haven't paid these people yet, how are they going to pay these people? Because apparently they're not being paid for their content on Pop, from what we understand, and their largest revenue stream is from the contributions made by Dixie's parents' company, Panda Energy,
and overseas. They're hurting. I mean, they're saying that they're looking for investors.
They had investors. Several times they had investors lined up, and one person killed those deals. How funny was it? And we're going to talk about Hulk Hogan tomorrow, because big news about him and his trial against Gawker. We'll talk about that tomorrow on Primetime. But you saw a lot of the stuff he said in the trial. It was not just about the size of his penis, but he also talked about TNA.
Yes.
Quite extensively. So when the verdict was announced and Hulk Hogan was awarded $115 million before getting another $25 million, money he'll never see, by the way, Dixie Carter sent a congratulatory tweet to Hogan.
Of course she did. Why wouldn't she? That's what she does. She wants to play nice with everybody.
He didn't play nice on the witness stand when he talked about TNA and basically buried the company every chance he got. And then the president of said company congratulates him on the successful trial. We can't get into this week.
Well, we could, but
we can't. We shouldn't.
It's
WrestleMania season. We're on the march to Mania.
We need to have a sit down in Dallas. You know, you can have your Jameson.
A sit down with whom?
Just whoever wants to join us, and we can talk about everything.
On camera?
Of course. Why not?
Let's do that after Friday's party.
Agreed.
I will say this about TNA Impact Wrestling, though. I did watch this past Tuesday's edition on Pop TV, and I was actually incredibly engaged and impressed by the open to the show. EC3 involved, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Eric Young even, Drew Galloway, who did a great job, and, of course, the endorsed Rockstar Spud. Dixie Carter even had played a good role in her making of the gauntlet match, so it was good. They've got good product. And as you said, the biggest damage in these two departures is to the roster.
Oh, yeah, and then, of course, they signed 5 new people.
Who?
TNA. I'll be honest, you could put 5 of them in front of me, and I wouldn't know who was who.
Folks, Feedback Friday continues.
But that doesn't mean that they can't become stars. I mean, let's be honest again.
There's a lot of honesty going on here.
They hired 2 people from NXT.
They did.
That got released from NXT.
They did, yes. But they were in NXT.
Yes. They didn't make it in NXT. Not saying they're not talented, but there wasn't a spot for them. Now, sure, we can say the same thing about EC3. He was released from NXT and became EC3.
That's true.
I think
one of their biggest success stories.
I think EC3 is a different kind of talent, though.
He is. He's larger than life. He is incredibly talented.
When you get rid of a Bobby Roode and Eric Young, and you bring in 5 unknowns to replace those 2,
well, they're not going to get paid either. So. Folks, Feedback Friday returns in just about 30 seconds right here at PWRshow.com and on Fight TV.
Hold on. Wait.
With your comments on last week's shows, and including more passionate comments about Dean Ambrose.
The truck is calling.
And they say?
Rockstar Spud is going to be at the party.
Is that right? He's confirmed? Rockstar Spud.
Apparently there's a new promo, so roll it.
It's the biggest party event of WrestleMania weekend. WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash presents Shenanigans Dallas. Join Nash and friends including Billy Gunn, Mean Gene Okerlund, Al Snow, ODB, and more for a VIP party event Friday, April 1st. Party with the biggest stars of wrestling in downtown Dallas to kick off WrestleMania weekend. Don't miss Shenanigans Dallas, hosted by Kevin Nash. Tickets are available now at PWRshow.com. That's PWRshow.com.
Folks, welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report Feedback Friday here at PWRshow.com and on Fight TV. David Hero, how is the Fight TV app working out for you?
It is so easy. It's like you just swipe and double tap and...
Swipe left or swipe right?
It depends on what I like or what I don't like.
Fight TV, folks, our coverage of WrestleMania, the March to Mania. We're on the end stretch of road to on our March to Mania, and all of our coverage, all of our special coverage, which includes new prime times every day next week, will be exclusively available on the Fight TV app for free of charge. So bring it with you, and you can watch along in Dallas as you are preparing for WrestleMania. Well, folks, last week on Feedback Friday, we discussed Dean Ambrose's character again, and several of you had more thoughts to share with us. So let's get right to them. And one of the things we talked about was how, at times, it felt that Ambrose's character was a little forced or fake, if you will. His character. And a user by the name of Saking91 said, and I quote, "For God's sake, Reigns is forced. Ryback is forced. Ambrose is one of the more natural characters on screen." Now, I will say this, David Hero. This past Monday night on Raw, Ambrose receiving the nod from Terry Funk.
You notice Monet Dupree in the background?
I did.
How about that?
I did.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. Now, he gave him a chainsaw, which is interesting because the only time Terry Funk used a chainsaw was when he was Chainsaw Charlie in WWE, which is arguably what he's most remembered for in his time in WWE. But Ambrose, I thought, this past Monday night, and as I said last week, I thought on Raw, was great. I enjoyed him. I'm warming up to the character.
I think he was on his Xanax and chilled him out a little bit. You know, talking about forced, I don't know how Roman Reigns is forced. When I see Roman Reigns, I believe
he's forced down our throats as fans. We're being forced to like him. He's the one WWE chose, not the one we chose.
Well, that is who we are. We, WWE, we. It's we. You know, Ryback, I believe that's who he is. He's a big, jacked up bully. Mm-hmm. Doesn't like little people. Mm-hmm. Beats them up. Mm-hmm. Feed me more. Mm-hmm. See, exactly. Ambrose was patient, but he was. The last 2 weeks with Ambrose, he's had Funk, he's had Foley. You got to wonder who's next this coming week.
What was did their tag team have a name? Funk and Foley, Chainsaw Charlie, and
Cactus Jack.
Cactus Jack.
No,
I don't think they had a name.
But I mean, can you use a chainsaw in a match with Brock Lesnar?
Why not? Anything goes.
Not that. Can you imagine being in the front row?
Folks, Jose Montez, who last week took issue with our praise for Big Boss Man being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, had this to say about Jacqueline Moore being inducted. And I quote, "Have no problem with Jacqueline Moore making it to the Hall of Fame. At least she won big matches, unlike Boss Man and David Hero, who's over-opinionated about everything."
Isn't that what you pay me for?
You are an opinionist.
I do.
That is why you are here.
I mean... What
the allegation that Jackie Moore won more big matches than Big Boss Man did.
Well, I'm sorry. Did Jackie Moore wrestle Undertaker at WrestleMania?
I don't think she did. Well, that's the forgotten Undertaker match. Let's be real, though.
Did she ever main event?
Do you remember Big Boss Man hanging from the cage?
Yes. Did she ever
by his neck?
She ever main event Hulk Hogan? Did
main event Hulk Hogan?
Main event with Hulk Hogan?
Well, we don't know if she did.
Was she part of the Twin Towers against the Mega Powers? Hey, Jackie Moore is fantastic. I love Jackie Moore. She definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame. I think Luna Vachon should go in there with her as well. But over-opinionated. I'm just being honest. That's what it is. You want my honest thoughts, and that's what I'm giving you.
You know, we're going to talk about this on, I believe, our Tuesday edition of Primetime coming up. But found out just today that The New Day is going to be inducting the fabulous Freebirds into the Hall of Fame next weekend at WrestleMania.
We can talk about that?
We're going to talk about that on Tuesday. If you'd like to set the stage, you may do so. And perhaps be careful.
I'm a little perplexed, okay? I get it that you have the Freebird rule with New Day, okay? It's 3 guys. But you're having 3 young black men inducting the Freebirds, who would come out with Confederate flag face paint and patches and sequin capes. Are they going to show that in the video montage? I'm just curious. Now, I know that, and here's the funnier thing, is Michael P.S. Hayes has had a history of saying inappropriate, racist-like comments.
Folks, if you want to see us address your comment on Feedback Friday, all you have to do is subscribe to the PWR channel right here on YouTube and then comment on our videos. Each week we select what we think are the most thought-provoking comments and share them with you right here on Feedback Friday. So be sure to subscribe now. You click that gimmick right over there, down in the bottom. It says subscribe.
Leave my phone alone.
When we come back, it's more of your comments about last week's edition of Primetime here on Feedback Friday.
It's the biggest party event of WrestleMania weekend. WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash presents Shenanigans Dallas. Join Nash and friends including Billy Gunn, Mean Gene Okerlund, Al Snow, ODB, and more for a VIP party event Friday, April 1st. Party with the biggest stars of wrestling in downtown Dallas to kick off WrestleMania weekend. Don't miss Shenanigans Dallas, hosted by Kevin Nash. Tickets are available now at PWRshow.com. That's PWRshow.com.
Welcome back, fans, to the Pro Wrestling Report Feedback
Hold
Friday.
on a second.
March 26th.
Who was that jabroni?
25th.
Who was the jabroni that said Big Boss Man never won a match?
Jose something or another,
Okay.
I think. Montez?
He did have a big match. He beat the Hall of Famer Coco Beware at SummerSlam.
The first thing that pops into my mind when you mention that is that you remember that match?
Well, Coco Beware's in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, Cesar doesn't have a problem with it.
Folks, last week on Primetime, David, this guy, compared the League of Nations to some other factions, including the Four Horsemen. Well, Steve Herman on YouTube was not too pleased with that comparison, saying, and I quote, "David Hero, what the hell are you smoking?
Hookah?
Comparing the NWO and the Four Horsemen to the Waste of Nations. That's just simply embarrassing, sir. They are a joke. League of Nations are a joke team that lost twice to New Day, and now all of a sudden they get a tag match for the titles again? Also, you could have done the Usos versus the Dudleys versus New Day in a TLC match, or even better, and just have the Enzo and Cass versus the New Day. Those matches sell. Waste of Nations versus New Day is a snoozer for sure."
Hold on a second. Now, if we want to go into detail like this guy does, we have the NWO. Now, that doesn't mean it was Hogan, Hall, and Nash. It could be Stevie Ray, Scott Norton,
Virgil.
Horace Hogan, and Virgil. Right?
Yes.
Four Horsemen, let's not forget Mongo McMichael,
He was.
Dean Malenko, Paul Roma have all been horsemen.
Yeah, they were.
Okay. I would like to believe that for this generation, that the League of Nations is as close as we're going to get to a successful, dominant faction.
Folks, YouTube user Lost Legacy wants to see a bit more from us, saying, and I quote, "I know WrestleMania is coming up soon, but as a fan that only watches Impact Wrestling, I would appreciate it if you would dedicate more time to it." First thing is, I didn't realize there were any fans out there that only watched
Well, there's
Impact Wrestling.
349,000.
That only watch Impact Wrestling.
Oh, there you go.
I think we spent an adequate amount of time on Impact Wrestling
Today.
But to David's point, we made this point several times, is when you are a mainstream show like us, you cover the mainstream product. And when you have millions of people watching one product versus a couple of 100,000 watching another product, unfortunately, that's the content that we skew towards. So thank you for your comments on our shows, and we are looking forward to more of your comments next week. Next week, David here, we will not be sitting at this desk for Feedback Friday. We're going to be at the Iron Cactus in downtown Dallas, the site of that night's Shenanigans VIP
Are you
party.
serious?
Yeah. We're going to be live
You're
from
going to
Dallas.
start that early?
I'm not going to.
You cannot be drinking on TV.
You just told me some fantastic news earlier that Rockstar Spud, the endorsed Rockstar Spud, is going to be at the party. Is he wearing one of his fancy suits?
Special suit just for the party.
Does he really?
Yes.
Well, that is impressive.
Yes.
But yes, we'll be live from Dallas. And what do you mean I can't drink on TV? I could be drinking right now for all you know.
But you're not as focused.
Some would argue that maybe I'm more focused. But I have a...
Depends what you're focused on.
Well, folks, that is Friday night. Tickets are moving very, very fast. Only a couple of VIP seats. That is true. Only a couple of VIP spots available for Shenanigans VIP party next Friday night. And general admission tickets will be available at the door, folks. So you can go ahead and purchase them there. However, you're going to pay more if you wait to buy them at the door than you would if you just go to PWRshow.com right now
Nash,
and
Billy
purchase.
Gunn, Al Snow, Rockstar Spud, Thea Trinidad, Bull Dempsey,
SoCal
Mean
Val,
Gene Okerlund, SoCal Val,
James Storm, Lance Hoyt.
You invited Abyss. I get it.
Yeah.
Harry Smith, Davey Boy Jr. is going to be there. It's going
Mean Gene Okerlund,
it's going to be, and there's
Terry
something we
Runnels.
can't mention because they can't be advertised to be there.
It's going to be fun, folks, and we will not only see you there, but we'll see you tomorrow night on primetime. And now, let's find out from Ms. K what we have in store for you tomorrow, where JR joins us again.
The tease was up here. That's when you go to Linda.
Be sure to download the free Fight TV app on your smartphone so you can stream content from PWR, ROH, and many more right to your Wi-Fi TV with no wires and no boxes. Fight TV is available for free in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Be a part of Feedback Friday by heading over to PWRshow.com and sending us your feedback or commenting on the stories on the site. Follow at PWR Show on Twitter and on Facebook at facebook.com/PWR Show. We'll see you tomorrow night at 10 p.m. on Primetime TV as we continue the March to Mania with our live guest, WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross. JR will give us his thoughts on the WWE Championship match and the battle between Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar. That's primetime tomorrow at 10 p.m. on My24 Milwaukee, YouTube, Fight TV, and PWRshow.com. We look forward to seeing you then.